Courage is in studio with Duke Opoku Mensah. Or Mensah, no, it's Mensah Opoku, right?
Yeah,
that's the correct one.
Surname, yeah.
Yes, Mensah Opoku.
Yeah.
He has reported from Parliament since 19 Kojohoho.
Makes me feel like some old man.
19 Kojohoho is in studio. Gentlemen, good morning. One more time, welcome. So the finance minister will appear in Parliament today. That's a given.
Right.
But what indications are you picking ahead of that? Come, let's start with you.
So the first indication, I know for sure Ken will be wearing his white. He will also be carrying his
Brown bag.
green. Yesterday I saw him carrying
A green bag?
A green one. Yeah, I even took a shot. I
Oh, you
took a
took a
picture
shot.
of it. Just hoping that he might not change.
Can you share that photo with me, please? Thank you.
Green bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But money
so,
is green.
So that's it.
Money is
All
green.
right.
Yeah, it's great. And this is a leather bag. I'm sure this is a very expensive bag.
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
look at it, it belongs to the class of the British
Or maybe thrift time for Kanta.
bourgeois. So
You may never know.
Oh,
Maybe thrift time
Kanta.
for Kanta. Yeah.
No, not the kind of.
He's
I
not
don't
with the
think so.
masses anymore.
But this is a nice looking bag. Hopefully it symbolizes some change, something different this time
Yeah.
around.
Green is
Well,
the
it's-
color of renewal. Growth.
Yeah.
Growth. There we go.
Yeah.
So I guess
Right.
lately he's been using the green. So knowing we are coming out also of the doldrums, like they say, the economic doldrums, most probably.
A
you
simple
might be-
budget, a Juma budget, Impunto budget, Inkoso budget, Inkabom budget, Inidaso budget, a Jenko budget.
But largely, I think it's beginning to get clear that there might be some imposition of new taxes. As to which forms or what is actually is going to take, nobody knows. But at least he had a very long meeting, one with the finance committee yesterday, which was not disclosed to the media. And also yesterday, he met the speaker and then the leadership of the house. Normally, this is done so they don't get any surprises.
Lesson well learned.
Yeah, at least
of
because
what
you recall
Yes, the previous
last
time,
time,
yeah,
there was
he
No
levy.
consultation. It turned into blows.
Yes,
So-
and
that lesson has
he
been
wanted. In fact, I remember that occasion. The majority leader wanted to sneak him in, so to speak,
yeah.
to make a statement on the
Yes.
last day. I said, no. We've discussed this whole week. You were not here, so you will not speak. But hey, here
So
we
at
are.
least yesterday we realized that they had that meeting. In fact, after Parliament met yesterday, they had to suspend. The speaker had to suspend, and they went for that meeting for about 3 hours. And I mean, when they were coming out of the speaker's chamber, fortunately we were there. Of course, they were not going to tell us anything regarding the meeting. At least officially, Ken will not speak to you. Nobody will speak. But our sources do tell us that some imposition of taxes, which the minority is actually against. They say, look, do not or bring new taxes.
Right.
Rather review the already existing. For instance, the e-levy should be done. The COVID one as well should also be reviewed, so that at least it cushions the already overburdened
Right.
Ghanaians.
I see.
We also get indication of some 11 billion cedis that they are seeking to rake in. As to what that
The
is,
vehicle through which we raked in, you don't know.
we do not know. But it doesn't appear that the finance minister is on the same page with the minority. If you listen also to some majority MPs, yes, they agree that there should or there's already the process to recovery, but that process to recovery also needs to have some tough measures. And so they believe that this statement that he's going to be making, the IMF has a lot of input in it. Some believe that actually the IMF wrote it for them. I don't want to think that is the case.
Well, that
of
was
course.
what Sam George was alleging.
I don't-
And before Ningo
the-
Papa. He
the-
says he's just going to regurgitate what the IMF has put down on
couldn't
paper.
have written it for them, but of course the IMF's influence and inspiration will be around the budget. There's no doubt
You and I
about
were
it.
not there.
Because the IMF has a seat now at the finance ministry.
But we are still a sovereign state.
Well, you can be a sovereign state begging around. Ghana beyond aid is now Ghana in need of aid.
But nonetheless, I think that, yes, in as much as the IMF may have some suggestions of the sort, they also need to show readiness that this is the recovery path that we want to go. Of course, this is going to be the last one that he'll be given before he gives the half year one.
That's right. The transitional budget.
The
3 months
vote on account.
Yeah,
the
vote on account, which will be next year. So,
okay.
Well, the expectation, I mean, yes, from MPs is the usual thing. Many do not see anything good with it. Some are even suggesting that, well, when he comes, he should just come and stand in front of the podium and wave them bye-bye. And that is, I don't see the sense in that.
I see. Let me bring in Duke. Duke, what exactly is going to happen today? Walk us through. So we're told that the meeting will start at 10 o'clock in the forenoon.
Yes.
Okay, so let's assume it's 10 o'clock.
Right.
What's going to happen?
But first of all, let's educate listeners on the budget process is a three-part process.
All right.
Yes. So first, what we'll see today is just one part of it. We would have the minister read the budget statement itself in economic policy. So this is the statement and then the economic policy.
Right.
After it's ready to be debated and then passed. And then they'll go into what is known as the sector by sector, appropriation. So they'll do the appropriations. That is, every ministry will come to the committee responsible for that ministry to justify their budget. So last year, this is how much we spent, this is what we spent, these are the gains. This year, we want you to give us this much to go and spend. I mean, it was one of the things I've been advocating for, and I'll continue to advocate it. I want Parliament to take the veil off this process so that people will see how ministers justify their expenditure and how they try to convince their...
You want it telecast?
Yes.
Live on TV?
Yes. So the Greek minister is there justifying why he's asking Parliament to approve $5 million for him to, or 5 million Ghana cedis to do planting for food and jobs.
Right.
That kind of thing, that kind of accountability process. People can send questions to their members.
You honestly think that if we had done that, for example, for planting for food and jobs, because recently there was an interview with Dr. Ismail Yamsi, who says, look, we spent money to plant food and then the food didn't come, the jobs didn't come as well. If we had done that, I'm sure that some public scrutiny would have happened. So I'm with you on that.
That's just an example. Plan for food and jobs is just an example.
Right.
I think that is one part of the process that actually needs to be telecast so that people can see what happens behind the scenes. All of that will culminate in the passage of the appropriation bill. Right. So in the statement, he will ask for an amount of money that should be given to him. So this is the second part. After the appropriation is done, they will do if he's asking for new taxes or is imposing new taxes, Parliament will have to make some amendments to existing laws to be able to accommodate these taxes, right? The fees and charges and all that. So that's the third part of the process. So it's more or less like a three-part process. Right. Before we say we have the budget, that's the document that the government runs.
Okay. So what will happen today? Would be the first part.
Will be the first part. He will come in.
Guide us through what will happen on the first day.
So the speaker will, of course, it's a normal parliamentary sitting. The speaker will come in, call the house order. They'll do their prayers. They'll correct their minutes. And then after that, if he's in the house at that point in time, he will be welcomed in. Right. And then the majority that will be asked to make certain comments to welcome him. And then the speaker will give him the
That's because originally he's not a member of the house.
He's not a member of the house.
So he will have to get some permission to be in the chamber. Because the chamber is reserved for members of parliament.
And then the speaker will invite him to make his comments. After he's done with his comments, traditionally they would ask the minority leader, who is the leader of opposition, to respond. Okay. I mean, with his thoughts, what he's written down. And then after that, the majority leader will call for an adjournment and make an application for when the debate on the statement should officially start. So that's what we are going to see today. Right. I mean, generally, sometimes I hope we don't have especially because of the organized labor and minimum wage discussion yesterday and its agreement, it certainly will have to find space in the budget. If this was what government anticipated, then thanks be to God, they don't have to change anything. If this is not what they anticipated, it means they will have to change
re-engineer the whole
and
budget.
rework the tables. And sometimes there was a year where I've forgotten the year, but the whole nation, Ken Ofuriatta kept the whole nation waiting for over 4 hours.
Yes, I remember that.
The budget release started.
It came after 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
2018 was it? Yeah.
Because he came with a gamut of,
it was a major input issues, that was made.
And the minority said they will not agree. And then the majority also there was a tussle. The speakers' conference room for a while before they agreed, and then they had to rewrite aspects of the budget. So I hope that we don't have anything like that. If there's nothing like that, by 11 a.m. you should be on his way reading the budget. What he mostly reads is the abridged version. So the speech is maybe an abridged version, but the whole budget document is huge, very huge.
Right.
Contains all the tables, and mostly if you want to scrutinize the budget, it's not really what he has said. The best place to scrutinize the budget is to go to the tables. That's where everything,
the appendix, where the devil is in the detail.
That's where everything is.
But do our MPs go there? Do they read
Some of them
that?
do. At least for Okujeto Black, I can tell you he does. That's when he takes the budget. That's the first place he goes to. He's told me, and that's how come Oslo, all those things are discovered from the table. So
I think him and then Minta Akando are quite good at it because of the sectors that's
health and foreign affairs.
And then the late Dr. Kotose, when he was ranking member on finance, he would always go to the tables to make his arguments, and then chairman signs. So, but the tables have turned. So sometimes, it depends. You
have to behave yourself.
Your speed is determined by who's chasing you.
Right.
So that's how this thing.
I don't know if it's depending on which side of the aisle you belong to. If you're in the government side or the majority side, a lot more. They do not specify or go much into details. I mean, we have seen this with the debate.
Right.
It appears if we have to score them, whoever is in opposition does a lot more detailed work than the government side. And I don't know if it's because of
I'm presenting my thing. Why should I come and be fighting?
No, but sometimes the quality, Johnny. Sometimes if you sit, if you listen to the quality of this, is terrible.
Compared to when the JH says and the rest were in parliament.
As for the 96 parliament, they are in the class 96. The 96 to 2000 class, they are in a class of their own.
So what is happening?
GH Mensa will get up and speak for 2 hours extempo without anything.
So what is happening? So what is happening to this?
I diagnose this problem 3 ways. Not just this parliament. Number one.
Not the 8th parliament.
No, but
people don't say we are putting some weight on.
Number one, the MPs. Some of them are not willing to learn. Yes, parliament is more or less like a school.
Right.
When you get in, irrespective of, I've seen lawyers. I mean, it doesn't happen mostly to the lawyers, but I've seen lawyers who get up to speak in parliament and they are quaking. Like,
they're shaking.
Because they're nervous.
They are nervous, yes. The kind of heckling they will get in court. They will get in. There's an MP in Accra who's only gotten up just to ask for his name to be changed. That's all he said in the past 4 years. I will not mention that.
Don't. His constituents might get angry that
we had one.
This is all the money.
But at least he was there. My MP at some point, you couldn't even mark it in the register.
We had 1 year.
But your MP has been speaking. Your MP was a leader on the front bench. And Joseph was on the front bench.
But for a very long time, almost over a year, she was
she's
out
your
of
MP
it.
too?
That's she's also your MP. Oh, get well soon.
Wow. Anyway,
so number one, they are not. I mean, they are not learning. So when you have to, I mean, understudy someone more or less, get to know someone in leadership, someone you admire the person's style and the rest, and then the person gets to teach you the ropes of the trade.
Right.
Like what I was talking about. When you get the budget, Blackwell talks of someone who taught him that when you get the tables, this is where you go. When you get the budget, this is where you go to. So you have that kind of mentorship. That's me. And then secondly, the quality of the support staff that the MPs have.
Right.
Their research assistants. And the kind of staffing that they have,
but that's recruited by Parliament itself for them, right?
They make the recommendations. They make their recommendations.
I think for now, the last time it had to do with people who have masters, and if you have a first degree, you really do not stand a chance. So now the parliamentary service recruit research assistants who have masters.
But what went into it? Because somebody could have a first degree but has 20 years of work experience as a researcher. And then somebody
has the premium they put on the degree
because
the paper.
I mean, so for me, I've raised that question with some lecturers of mine, both at the University of Ghana, GIG, and many other institutions. I mean, when we meet, we have conversations, professors and the rest. And I say, look, there's a certain growing trend people get into the universities. They either do a diploma, then they stay within the university community, do their national service as TAs, do a degree, stay around, you know,
MPhil.
do an MPhil, and before you know, PhD. So when it comes to the real industrial input, they have no industrial input. If you go and pick somebody who has a PhD or an MPhil like that, who has not seen the world, experienced it, if you talk about the Nima Alhamdugata, he won't understand it. He only sees the architectural work.
So yeah, I remember when this conversation was being had, people like Abuja and Co said it's not only about the degrees.
Right.
You should also look at the quality of work the person can do. So the MPs must play a key role in that. What is the quality of the research that is being done for these people? Or sometimes also, it's also about getting information and all of those. So for me, these are the three top reasons why the quality of the debate is not.
They're not willing to learn.
They're not willing to learn.
The quality of people who are brought to them.
Who are brought in the support staff. And their own, you know, understanding of the issues. You get
should Parliament, for example, I know that Parliament, you know, has been trying to do a few refresher courses for them, but should Parliament make it, you know, a point where, for example, a political science department in Legon, Tech, UCC and the rest will have, you know, a program for those who want to be career members of Parliament.
There's a parliamentary training institute.
I mean,
in Parliament.
There is a parliamentary training
there are
institute.
universities.
What is the weight of that parliamentary training institute in the life of the
They are very nice facilities.
Well, I'm not saying the facilities.
I mean, the point I'm making is that if the required effort is engineered, is put into it, it can be top class. I know there are one of the clerks, his PhD is in parliamentary studies. There are institutions in the UK, for instance, University of Hull, that runs a whole program on parliamentary studies.
Can a parliamentary institute, for example, be accredited to run that?
Yes.
So that if you get into parliament and then you already have a degree and then you go through maybe a 2-year program, you get a postgraduate diploma in
parliamentary studies.
It can be done. So then people take it serious.
Yes, so Dr. Dafo, he recently wrote a book. His PhD is in parliamentary studies from the University of Hull. They should be tapping into the knowledge of some of these guys.
So
because in 2025, the likes of Osechi Mensah will not be in Parliament. So, which means that the quality that you're talking about,
we'll have to wait.
Well,
he said it's not going, but until
we digress. Though we'll come back to the budget, but then the quality you're talking about keeps dropping. It keeps dropping.
That's one of the issues.
If you have people who have institutional memory,
that's one of the points I should have raised. The fact that attrition rate is also a problem. Every now and then you have people. MPs being changed. So when people come, they have to learn from the scratch. You get the point. So next time, with some of the MPs who have said they are leaving, Chairman Sambos, some of them who have mentioned,
Aveji is also leaving.
All those people are.
These are front benches.
With the level of knowledge that they have over the period. People come in first time and they have to learn all over again. One good thing that this speaker has done, though, is to engage some of the old parliamentarians as consultants, the likes of Yunus Afusin, Dr. Sibe Yabo and Co, who come to help them with the crafting of the policy, the budget, budget documents,
the drafting,
the bills and those ones, the winnowing processes and the rest. They come to help them engage as consultants so that you can get the institutional memory still around. But it's one of the biggest problems. It's one of the biggest problems. But looking at the issues with our democracy, it will get worse. The attrition rate will get worse because now people think that, unlike in the US, you have the Ted Kennedys and the rest been there for 36 years, 40 years. When he gets up to speak, he speaks from his own experience, first-hand experience. But in Ghana, because of how things are, MPship has been tied to development, and you have some people even saying that right now. Yesterday, I was at the vetting of the MPP in Greater Accra region.
The orphan constituency.
Yes, that is now people are. I'm coming there so that you also get a chance to chop. That is somebody's motto. So the mindset is that those who are in parliament, they are chopping.
It is not about the legislation, making of laws and the debates.
No. We are talking about intellectual high-mindedness and talking about
debate and quality of debate.
No, it's about Ebedi Charlie. That's the conversation I was being. But it's a problem.
The drama that usually heralds the debate. Parliament. We've seen some of the kinky, some kinky bread and the drama in Parliament.
Candles.
The debate surrounding the drama. Is it going down? Is it going up? Is it static?
for now, there's some agreement that they've had between themselves, especially when it comes to State of the Nation.
Right.
They no longer show the placards and things. They are trying to bring it also with a budget statement as well. At least the leadership thinks that to a very large extent it's a bit disrespectful to the head of state. So if Ken Ofori-Atta comes, but I mean, the minority is always truant when it comes to these things. Look, they may agree to it, but on the quiet, you see them, you see an A4 sheet on the table, you do not know what exactly is on it. Just when he's done, then they lift it and you see the cameras are able to picture it, telling this is
our budget.
all the time. But
is that not parliamentary?
Heckling is part, but I think that there's an extent to which you have to go name calling and all that. It's a bit awful, but just like we said, the 93 squad, the JH Mensah time, that's why they are in a league of their own. I do not think that it was relevant at that time. Theirs was the battle of the minds, the battle of ideas. So that I think is what should be. But you see, on the issue of the quality of the debates too, there's one thing. When the policies you're bringing or the issues within the budget is something that is good or is, for want of a better word, sensible, your people should naturally be willing to defend you. We have had instances where after the budget statement and there's a list of people to do the debate for the various sectors. Members of the majority told you, you want me to go and say no. So they want to extricate themselves. They don't even put their names on it. There are times that their names are even on it, they do not show up.
Mention their names and they are not there.
They are not there to defend.
Because they are afraid that they will be victimized or what?
Well, on the quiet, when they meet you, they tell you off the record that what do you want me to go and say about it?
Especially prime minister around the corner.
Of course.
So for example, speaking of which, the MPs who were calling for the head of the finance minister, Apia Kubi, Eugene of Subing, and the rest, you say that the primaries would show them something small?
They find it.
I mean, it's possible. It depends on the kind of strength they also have in their own background. But if you're a lightweight and you involve yourself in they will raise a candidate for you, man.
Yeah.
Backing with millions,
The other MP-ship awards, is there something like that?
Oh, individual.
Odikro has been doing that, right?
They run the rankings.
They do research, yes. So
and the MPs are always angry with them.
Yes. And then the political science department did one recently, which asked the goal of Professor Michael Quay.
Yes.
Professor Michael Quay. I remember Johnny Tim Forjo was also not happy.
He was so angry. But I don't know why Global Info also did one recently.
And even showed voting patterns.
Yes. They should embrace. They should. And talking about well-researched statements and arguments, let's give the flowers of Okujeto Ablakwa and Anodom Pre to them. They make very good.
Yeah.
I mean, in my time in reporting from Parliament, those are some.
They have one thing in common. They have both been Nooks presidents before. So they come to the
chairman and ranking to the Foreign Affairs Committee. They're actually very good friends.
They come to the table with a wealth of experience. I mean, and I'm just saying this to buttress that fact that I was part of the GAR-SRC and then went into Nooks and then GAPS, So they have traveled that trajectory. So when they get up to speak, you see the quality.
And even they are not immune from the heckling and they are quite forceful. So I can imagine how
they used to do it.
I can imagine how somebody you at the back, one of the backbenchers, maybe wanting to make an input and thinking, hey, high on crowd.
I was around Nooks from GRSRC when Okujeto was president. And I saw him. I mean, he used to be part of those who had killed others.
Oh yes.
Listen, have you seen the video where there's an MP in his constituency saying that he sits behind a pillar in Parliament?
Nobody sees.
So when he gets up, the speaker
you cannot catch the eye of the speaker.
Because that's what we should be asking of our members of Parliament. I mean, they're not Yes, I would like to know, this year, what has been your contribution? What do you make of this policy, that policy?
But you also need to take comments.
But you know that you can't just get up and make a statement. Sometimes the statement has to go through your leaders,
of course.
your leadership.
The speaker has to be accepted.
But let us not limit it to standing up to speak on the floor of the House. Look, a lot of the work, I think, the committee.
It's because the committees are not open. We don't see what goes.
That is why maybe the new standing orders that's going to come will be able to deal
some of the committees, finance committee, energy committee. Mines and energy.
But I can tell you, even though
special budget committee.
Yeah. I can tell you that even though.
What do you want to hear?
It's not our money.
I can tell you that even though the speaker wants the committee meetings to be open to the public and all that, there are MPs who are hell bent on it should never happen.
And why is that?
I don't know what they have to hide.
You see, even if they open it up, the committee chairs will still have the discretion to say this matters are sensitive.
Exactly. We'll say it in camera.
So really, but I think that Ghanaians deserve to know what happens in the committees. It shouldn't be.
See, one of the things, and Kamala makes a case for members of parliament, for example, that most of the work takes place at the committee level. Speaker Kwe brought something that I love, the private members bill.
Right.
You could sponsor that, and that's what Sam George and many others, Dafia McFord, and
the first to actually do that was Ras Mubarak.
Yes,
Ras Mubarak.
Yes. So they did that. I mean, if you're a member of parliament and you really want to be taken serious, you should take advantage of that. And then,
but the kind of work that goes into
prove your worth. You're a private member.
Well, and thankfully, Parliament has a legal department now.
Right, so they will help you to draft
a lot of lawyers, very young lawyers,
because they are actually drafters, and Duke, you know, Justice VCRC Crab, I sat down with him. He said, "Look, he's one of the oldest drafters at the time.
He worked with Parliament till the day he dropped it. He was with them.
So VCRC Crab has been part of our constitutional process since independence. In fact, pre-independence, it was
from the Consultative
UK.
Assembly days.
Yes, he was brought in from the UK. Right, he used to be a policeman, went to the UK, and was brought in from the UK after he had studied his law, and he has been part of every constitution we have written in this country up until the 1992 constitution, and many other laws. Very brilliant. So there are people who are Helen can, for example, have an idea about a law, something that's become a problem. She wants a law enacted in that direction, makes a proposal, gets a few MPs to support, and then good to go. Follow the process.
Go by policy.
So, but you can't go and say that you sit behind the pillar, and so each time you get up to speak, nobody sees you.
Find out.
Which MP is that? I'll find him.
Kofi Akunoko. He said it in.
Okay.
He said it in front.
Oh, Charlie.
It is the speaker.
But the fact is that if you also look at the programming of the microphones, every seat has the name tags
on dedicated microphone.
So the moment you press it, and you see, that is why the speakers always discourage them from moving from their seat to the other, because the Hansard department needs to capture you.
Right.
So the moment you press the microphone, it identifies your name as well.
Then the speaker can say, "Honorable member for Hafuano South."
Carlos Ahinkra just last week, really had the displeasure of the speaker asking him to go back. And he was citing a similar example that where he was, the speaker was not seeing. The speaker said, "You cannot tell me that I am not seeing you. Go back to your..." In fact, he came to the front bench to actually raise a concern. And the speaker said, "No, go back to your own seat and still make your submission." Yes, it did. But I think also that a lot of the young ones, or the first timers especially, not even first timers. Look, there was an MP who spoke, I think it's the vice chairman for the employment and social welfare committee. In fact, yesterday, for the first time, that was the very first time he spoke. And when he spoke, I was like, one, he exists, and even the way he was speaking, the English, it's somewhere, not to talk about adjournment and the other one.
So, let's listen to one of the debates from back in the day, in 1997. Listen.
Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker. The tradition of parliament in this country since independence is quite clear. Sir Noble Arden Clark was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. Lord Listowel was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. The late Dr. Kwame Nkrumah himself was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. General Efrifa was sworn into as head of state in Parliament, before Parliament. The late Justice Akufo-Addo was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. And the last, Dr. Hila Liman, was sworn into office in Parliament, before Parliament. The precedents are clear because 1992 is a minority of one. These are not colonial precedents. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was... Mr. Speaker, these are the precedents of independent Ghana since 1957 for our young friends who do not know the history.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
And seriously, Mr. Speaker, I do hope that we will make use of the precincts of Parliament as other legislatures do. In a little while, the President of the United States will be sworn into office in the forecourt of Congress, in Congress, before Congress. Yes, here's your forecourt. Yes, in Parliament, before Parliament. Because, Mr. Speaker, the premises of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, consist not only of this chamber, but of the premises of Parliament. And that is the law. The premises of Parliament, that is the law. The premises...
Order, order! Order, order!
Mr. Speaker, the premises of Parliament, including your own office.
Honorable members,
Mr. Speaker, the premises of Parliament,
please,
including your own office and the whole premises, this is the home of Parliament. And I'm making this point quite seriously because it is our wish on this side of the House that the authority and dignity of Parliament should be affirmed and reaffirmed on every possible occasion as one of the bulwarks of our freedom.
At the Independence Square this afternoon, I will put the question without debate. As many as are in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. As many as are against say no. The ayes have it.
And that was Justice D.F. Annan. It was former Speaker of Parliament. And there you had J.H. Mensah, the Honorable J.H. Mensah in Parliament. And the argument at the time in 1997 was where the swearing in of former President Rawlings was going to be held, whether it was going to be held in Parliament or whether or not it was going to be moved to the Independence Square for the swearing in to happen. That's been the tradition thus far because of space and all of that. So Parliament is actually reconvened at the Independence Square and then the swearing in is done there. But on this occasion, he spoke without a sheet of paper before him. He spoke extempore with his hands behind him all of the time. And he was making references to, historical standpoints from the big democracies that we're trying to learn from. And that's been the conversation in the studio. We're all concerned about the quality of the debates in the interest of the people. Yeah. Gentlemen, we have to wrap up.
One of the issues also regarding the budget had to do with the post...
budget workshop.
Yes, it became a thorny issue last week into this week as well. But it's been now decided that the workshop will no longer be held in a residential facility. hitherto this decision, the Deputy Majority Leader, Alexander Peña-Markins, had said that the Business Committee had decided that they should go to Rock City in Kwewu. Last year, they were at Volta Serene. I think two occasions they've been going to Volta Serene to do it. The issue of Rock City came in now, and when Kofi Adams asked that, okay, we are in trying times now, why can we not save the money and then do it here? It became an issue. The response he had from the deputy leader was not a pleasant one, who said that he was citing he was inciting the public against them. And so the speaker had to come in 3 days ago, and the House took a decision that, okay, now we will do the post workshop right in the chambers. What it also means is that MPs need to be committed to it. In the past, when they are doing it right in the chamber, most MPs do not come because they feel, well, it's not a place that they can lodge and all that. So
we need to have a relaxed environment.
Their attitude to it, but the issue, of course, has actually come this time around, and so the decision of both the Speaker and the House is that they do it right in the chamber, which, well, I think the majority was not in agreement with, because we know the linkage of Rock City to also a member to a current member of the majority. So many think that it's because of him. That's how come they are trying to push. But the technical committee did that assessment, and they said in terms of cost, Volta Serene stands, relatively cheaper to be used than Rock City. And so it should have been, but because of the controversy, then the House says, okay, if Volta Serene will not take it, then Rock City will also not take it. Then let's all sit in the chamber and do it.
I see. Well, we're wrapping up. Duke, what do you leave us? You found it. David Missy. Play it again for me. What's the pillars in you? The majority of parliament, the pillars in you. Speaker Paul.
Well, it is true. What he's saying is the truth.
But your friend,
MP4.
That is a former catcher.
That's the seat that people wants to take back. Yeah, one young man. There was controversy in that constituency, but I think they sorted it out. Then
the parliament.
What's the pillar?
Yeah, it's a
I like the way it rhymes.
Rescue the
parliament. Speaker.
Oh, Charlie.
It's not the only one.
This is rescue the perishing. Rescue the perishing. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
But seriously, I think the COVID levy needs to be scrapped. 3 years on, there's no need for COVID-19.
Levy taxes on sanitary pads.
Yes, sanitary pads.
And all of that. It needs to be scrapped. Yes. And then there's also some... the imports say there's some import levy, some 2%.
If you take your bill of lading now, so much taxes within that you really do not see the head and tail of it. I think it is very important that those things need to be reviewed.
Okay.
As to whether he'll do it, another thing.
Well, the president couldn't sack enough Riata. What are you expecting? Duke, Mensa Opoku, and Komla Tuche, parliamentary eyes and ears on the ground.